Hey Gramps, you dropped your wallet. One day at a busy intersection, I spotted an old man drop his wallet as he was passing by. I picked it up and dashed after him. He was very grateful, and I felt warm inside knowing I had done a good deed. However, life has its ups and downs. The very next day, I was fired from my job for an information leak I had no knowledge of. But as they say, when one door closes, another one opens. My life was about to go through some incredible ups and downs. My name is Walter, and I'm 32 years old. I worked in sales at a company called Industries in New York City, and my job was going smoothly. The CEO had mentioned a few times that I was close to being recommended for a manager position. I was happy that my hard work and dedication were being recognized, and it motivated me to work even harder. My only concern lately was my lack of exercise. As I had started to develop a bit of a belly, I found myself getting slightly out of breath walking my usual route to work. Maybe I should join a gym. Nah, I know I won't stick with it. Every time I saw an ad for a personal trainer, I would have this internal debate, but I always concluded that I would probably stop going soon anyway, so I never took any action. Waking up early really does make getting ready easier. For some reason, I woke up before my alarm today and got ready in a flash. With nothing else to do, I checked the time and saw that I was about 40 minutes early. After some deliberation, I decided to head out. I figured I would walk the distance of one subway stop. I passed the bus stop I usually take and set my sights on the next one. It's cold. Good thing I wore a scarf. The weather reporter on TV had said it would be chilly, so I put on a light coat and decided to wear a scarf, even though I thought it might be a bit early for one. Turns out, it was the right call. My walk was going well, and the slightly cold air actually felt nice. I reached the next bus stop, but I felt like I could keep going, both physically and mentally. I checked my watch and saw that I still had time, so I decided to head for the next stop. The next stop was just past a busy intersection. I took a water bottle out of my bag, took a few big gulps, and caught my breath. Today's gonna be busy from the get-go. First, I gotta email Tom and sort out our schedule. I was thinking about my plan for the day and accidentally said it out loud. My voice carried surprisingly well through the crowd, and a few people gave me suspicious looks. I pretended not to notice, but I felt a little embarrassed. When the light turned green at the intersection, I started walking briskly. I was casually looking at the people passing by when I saw an old man rummaging through his bag and drop his wallet. I thought, oh, but the old man didn't notice and kept walking with the flow of the crowd. I jogged over and picked up the wallet, but when I turned around, the short old man was almost swallowed up by the sea of people. Ah, there he is. That's the guy. I locked eyes on the old man and sprinted towards him. Since I had walked more than usual today, my legs were tired from the sprint, and I was embarrassingly out of breath and wheezing. But having come this far, I had to give it to him no matter what. When I was little, I was close with my grandpa, so I felt a sense of duty and kept moving my feet even though they wanted to stop. Finally, I caught up to the old man. The flow of people had settled down when the light turned red, so I tapped the old man on the shoulder. Sir, you dropped this. My ideal was to talk to people this smoothly, but in reality, it came out more like this. Hey Gramps. You dropped this. The old man looked startled for a moment, but then his eyes widened when he saw the wallet clutched in my hand. He rummaged through his bag, probably to double check, and his face looked worried. Oh, thank you so much. This is definitely my wallet. You really saved me. The old man thanked me over and over with a big smile on his face. As I caught my breath, I smiled too. My favorite picture of me and my late wife was in there. I can't thank you enough. If I had lost it, I might have been too upset to even get out of bed. Seeing how carefully he put the wallet back in his bag, I was glad I hadn't just looked the other way and that I had sprinted after him first thing in the morning. I'm so glad to hear that. My morning run was worth it then. You're so kind, especially for a young person. Thank you so much. Please let me give you some kind of reward. The old man's voice was gentle and it put me at ease. I had just done what anyone would have, and I was about to refuse any reward. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw the bus I always take approaching. I had to get on that one or I'd be late for work. Please don't even think about a reward. I just did what anyone would have. I'm sorry, but I gotta catch that bus or I'll be late for work. I gotta run. You take care now, Gramps. I said all this extremely quickly, waved to the old man, and then ran to the bus stop. My legs took a beating from my second sprint of the day, but I managed to get on the bus. I hope you'll forgive me for saying that the first thing I did when I got to work that day was put a cold compress on my calves. Man, my legs are beat. I'm not running tomorrow, that's for sure. My legs were tired all day, but remembering the old man's smile made me feel warm inside, so I'm sure it was a good day. But a good day is often followed by a bad one. No, not a bad day, the worst day, more like. When I got to work as usual and set foot on the sales department floor, I felt an unusual tension in the air. Normally, even at the start of the workday, you can hear people talking and laughing, but it was strangely quiet. Huh? What? What happened? As I looked around, I saw my coworkers whispering to each other while blatantly staring at me. I couldn't think of any reason they'd be whispering about me, so their behavior just left me confused. Feeling uneasy, I hurried to my desk to put down my bag and then immediately headed for my section chief's desk. Good morning, Martin. Sorry, but what's going on? Don't you think everyone's acting kind of weird? Martin, my direct supervisor, gave me a cold look. He had never looked at me like that before. He's strict when it comes to work, but he's a very kind person at heart. He's also the one who taught me the ins and outs of sales, so I owe him a lot. Morning. Come with me for a sec. There's something I need to talk to you about, Walter. Puzzled by his words, I followed his lead into the conference room. As soon as he opened the door, I saw our company CEO Bob standing inside, and my heart started racing even faster. I couldn't help but think that some kind of emergency had happened. There you are. Martin, please join us as well. Of course. As his supervisor, I'm also responsible for what my colleague has done. I'll certainly join you. With an expression bordering on tragic, Martin responded to Bob. I had no idea what was going on, but based on what Martin said, it sounded like I had done something bad enough for the CEO to get involved, no less. I couldn't remember messing anything up, so I had to clarify what this was about first. I forced my dry throat to make a sound. Martin and Bob, what exactly did I do? When I timidly asked, the chief opened his mouth to say something. The CEO held up a hand to stop him and started talking. It's about an information leak, Walter. In the deal you're currently working on with Sanderson Industries, it seems you've been sharing our company's confidential information with outside parties. It was so completely out of left field, I couldn't respond right away. I swear I never did anything like that. Finally, realizing the gravity of the situation, I argued back. Wait a minute, Bob. I never did that. I absolutely did not leak any information. I pleaded desperately, but neither Boggs nor the Martins' expressions changed, and the chilly atmosphere remained the same. Who said I did that? Please tell me where you got the information that I supposedly leaked something. I guess my desperation got through to them. The CEO stared at my face for a while, then let out a sigh and told me. It was Emma from Sanderson Industries. She said that when she talked to you at the coffee shop, you shared what seemed to be confidential information. She wrote down what she could remember in her notebook, and when we checked it here, it was definitely confidential. Emma is the person in charge at Sanderson Industries. She's a woman in her 40s who doesn't talk much, but she's not unfriendly either. I once heard her say that since she doesn't think she can get married, she's going to focus on her work. To be honest, she's not bad looking either, and we laughed about how she just hasn't met the right person yet. She's actually very good at her job, and I trusted her, so why on earth would she do this? Why would Emma say something like that? While I was confused, Bob took a piece of paper out of his suit's inside pocket and showed it to me. On it was a handwritten list of things Emma had supposedly heard, and when I checked, it did indeed contain information about deals with other companies. The list of confidential information made me dizzy, and I knew this was no joke. Wait a minute. It's true that both companies are my clients, and I did meet with Emma at a coffee shop, but I never said any of this. We were just talking about how things have been lately. But Walter, Emma has no reason to lie, and the fact that she actually knows this information means that you must have leaked it. Bob's angry shout made me freeze. Sanderson Industries said they can't trust a company that leaks information. They want to reconsider any future business with us. They're one of our biggest clients. If we lose that deal, it'll cause massive damage to our company. I couldn't find any words to say to him as he held his head in his hands. It's true that no matter how much I insist I didn't say anything, she actually does know the information. The moment an outsider knows something only our employees should know, my word won't be believed. Seeing me silent, Bob spoke. You are fired, effective today. I assume you have no objections. Gather your personal belongings. That's all. Martin told me to come on and head back to the sales floor. The news must have already spread, because unlike earlier, everyone on the floor was trying not to look at me. I couldn't tell if what was happening was real anymore. I mechanically packed up my things. If there's anything you don't need, just leave it. We'll dispose of it. I accepted that and sorted through my belongings, finishing in about an hour. The one who quietly took my work files was my coworker Mike. Sounds like a lot happened, but don't worry about the rest. I'll take over your work. Sorry about this. I'm counting on you. Mike's considerate attitude almost brought me to tears. I barely managed to choke out a thank you for everything and left the company with no one seeing me off. I immediately called Emma at Sanderson Industries, but an impersonal announcement played saying the number you have dialed is not currently in service. So I tried calling a company, and something shocking happened. Apparently, Emma had quit the company. When did she leave? When I met with her about 2 weeks ago, she didn't mention anything like that. When I asked in surprise, the person at Sanderson Industries seemed perplexed too. Yes, it was very sudden, and we were surprised as well. Thinking I probably wouldn't be able to get any more useful information, I thanked them and hung up. It doesn't seem like I'll be able to prove my innocence at this rate. It's always very difficult to prove whether something was or wasn't said. What should I do starting tomorrow? I suddenly stopped walking in the crowd and looked around to find myself at the busy intersection from this morning. Just then, I felt like someone was watching me, and when I looked over, there was the old man I had given the wallet to. When our eyes met, the old man waved happily. It's him. The old man whose wallet I found. The old man approached me with a bright smile and stood in front of me. I'm so glad I got to see you again. I was waiting for you. His words surprised me. Waiting? For me? That's right. You said you didn't need any thanks, but I just couldn't let it go. Do you have a little time? When the old man said that, I felt self-deprecating. I have plenty of time now. I won't be going to work starting tomorrow. I agreed, and we moved to a nearby park, sat on a bench, and started talking. I'm sorry for taking up your time, young man. The old man's kind smile made me think of my late grandfather, and I almost cried. I was quite a crybaby when I was little, and whenever something bad happened at school, I would cry to my grandfather and he would hug me. Walter, you're doing great, going out there and doing your best. But don't worry, I will always be here when you come home. I will always protect you. I'm still grateful to my grandfather for not getting annoyed with crybaby me and always being there for me. I thought I had gotten a little better as I grew up, but I guess not today. I was emotional, but I managed to start talking to the old man. Not at all. I was wondering how you were doing too. I'm glad we could meet again. I'm so happy to hear you say that. I wanted to show you a picture. Here it is. The old man took a photo out of his wallet. And it was a younger version of the old man and a beautiful woman. Wow, the old man was quite handsome. Wow, is this you and your wife? You were so handsome, and your wife is beautiful too. When I expressed my honest thoughts, the old man seemed very pleased. Thank you. My wife was truly a beautiful woman. Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Henry. It's nice to meet you. She really is. I'm Walter. I'd be happy if you could call me Henry. That's what all my younger friends call me. Henry, who was smiling, was very easy to talk to. I decided to take him up on his offer and call him Henry. When I looked at the photo again, I suddenly noticed a company name in it. It said Thompson Construction. Huh? Thompson Construction still exists today, right? I'm pretty sure they're a major construction company. Hey, Henry, the photo says Thompson Construction. Did you work for Thompson Construction? I'm in sales, so I don't know much about it, but they're a big company, right? Henry laughed at my question. I did work there. Actually, I'm the one who founded it. I passed the position of CEO to my son, and now I'm the chairman. Well, I'm basically retired. I'm free to go out and about. I was so surprised, I just stared at Henry. But at the same time, I was impressed by Henry's humility and character. For the chairman of such a large company, he could have been boastful or selfish, but Henry wasn't like that at all. What? You were the chairman? That's a surprise. I've never talked to someone with the title of chairman before, so I'm suddenly getting nervous. When I spoke honestly, Henry laughed. That's true. People do seem to get nervous when you have a title like chairman, but I'm just a regular person. Whether you're the CEO or the chairman, you're still just one person. Just like you, Walter. So don't get all nervous on me. I see, that's certainly true. No one's ever said that to me before, but you're right. When I agreed, Henry looked happy. Actually, I was waiting for you for another reason besides showing you the photo. Walter, how would you like to work for my company? I was truly surprised by Henry's words. Because I had just been fired from my job today. Unable to keep up with the ups and downs of the day, I just fell silent, at a loss for words. I was impressed by your kindness and courage. I'm aware that I'm a person who values character. When I found out that you were that kind of person, I wanted to do something for you. The words I finally managed to say in response to Henry were, "What? Really? Yes, you found my wallet for me, right? Your kindness helped me then." Henry expressed his gratitude to me and smiled at me again. As thanks for that, I want to do something for you. Of course, if you say you're happy at your current company, I won't push it, but how about considering it as an option? I decided to tell Henry what had happened today. Then Henry got really angry for me. What's with that company? They just assumed without even listening to your side of the story. That's terrible. Honestly, it was quite a shock. I didn't do it, and I have no idea why they think I did. But the biggest shock was that no one believed me. As I said that, I started crying. Henry patted my head as I cried. It was just like my late grandfather, and I couldn't stop the tears. That must have been tough. I only know you from you returning my wallet, but I can tell you're not the kind of person who would do something like that. And I understand how painful it is to not be believed. What Henry told me about was a story from his childhood. This happened when I was in elementary school. Back then, we used to put our lunch money in an envelope and keep it in our bags. One day, the envelope from one of the classmates was stolen. My family was poor and my classmates knew about my family situation, so naturally they assumed I was the culprit. Even though it happened when he was young, it was a painful story to hear. Of course, I didn't do it. But no matter how much I said I didn't, even my class teacher wouldn't believe me. When the class was basically putting me on trial, my wife, who was my classmate at the time, got really angry for me. She said, "He's telling you he didn't do it, so why won't you believe him? Teacher, everyone, did you see Henry do it? Your wife sounds super cool. That's amazing that she could stand up to the teacher like that, even as a kid." She really was. I was surprised too, but at the same time, I was so happy. I realized there was someone who believed in me. From then on, I was head over heels for Kate. It was like being struck by lightning. In the end, they found the real culprit. The teacher and my classmates apologized properly. I see. I'm glad your name was cleared. When did you start dating your wife? Kate and I went to high school together too. I worked hard in my own way and got a job lined up. I wanted to start a company someday, so I thought of it as training. That's when I confessed to Kate. I told her I wanted to date her and eventually marry her. I was totally invested in Henry's love story now. Somehow, I just had a feeling that Henry probably confessed in a really cool way. I enjoyed his story and urged him to continue. Kate was thrilled, of course. I was so happy. I felt like I was on cloud nine. My long-time unrequited love had finally borne fruit. After that, I threw myself into work. I was determined to succeed, for Kate's sake too. That was probably my biggest motivation. Henry, that's the kind of thing I aspire to as a man. That's seriously cool. It's really amazing to be able to work so hard for the person you love. I've had girlfriends before, but I've never felt that way about anyone. I hope someday I can find someone who makes me feel like that. Thank you. I asked her once, why did you believe me back then? And Kate just laughed. She said, you were always sincere and kind. Even though your family was struggling, you were cheerful and nice to everyone. You were the type who wouldn't tolerate wrongdoing, right? That's why I was sure it couldn't have been you. Kate had a strong sense of justice. She always said she wanted to live in a world where people who work hard and do the right thing are rewarded. Those words hit me hard. That's exactly how I feel right now. I want a society where honesty isn't punished. In the company too, there were various challenges in running it. But I always made sure to be fair and recognize the people who were working hard. It's thanks to all the employees that the company grew so much, so I'm nothing but grateful. If the person at the top of a company is like you, Henry, I'm sure everyone would want to work there. I told Henry what I truly felt. Thank you. I'd like to think this mindset has rubbed off on my son. Actually, my son is even more principled. That's probably thanks to Kate's influence. Anyway, Walter, when one door closes, another one opens. Would you like to come work for us? By the way, I've got my son's seal of approval that anyone I scout is good to go. Henry winked playfully and held out his hand, and I reached out without hesitation. Thank you so much. I'll gladly take you up on your offer. As I appreciated while shaking his hand, Henry spoke to me happily. I'm so glad. To think you were in such a tough spot. You helped me, but at the same time, I'm thrilled to be able to help you too. I felt my heart gradually warming at Henry's words. I never imagined that reuniting with Henry would bring new light into my life. I was truly grateful for this strange twist of fate. And so, starting the very next day, I began working at Thompson Construction, where Henry's son Ethan is the CEO. I've already talked to my son, so head straight to the CEO's office. That's what Henry had told me the day before, so I made my way to the Thompson Construction office. With a mix of nervousness and anticipation in my chest, I went to the front desk and gave my name. We've been expecting you. The smiling woman led me to the elevator, and my heart started racing. With a swirl of anxiety, excitement, and various other emotions, I headed for the CEO's office. Right this way. The elevator stopped and the doors opened to reveal a spacious office illuminated by bright lights. At the far end was a door labeled CEO's office. Excuse me, CEO. The receptionist led the way in, and there was a smiling man waiting for me at the desk in the back. His smile looked just like Henry's, and I felt reassured by his warm expression and eyes. Welcome, Walter. Thank you for coming to our company. I expressed my gratitude, saying thank you. After the receptionist left, we decided to chat a bit on the sofa. My dad was so grateful to you, Walter. Thank you so much. He kept saying he had to repay you. But when I met you, I had no idea you were going through all that at your previous company. Timing is a funny thing, isn't it? I was surprised myself. I'm truly grateful that you saved me from rock bottom. I'll work hard, so I appreciate your support. When I thanked deeply, Ethan told me not to be so formal. My dad has a good eye for people. I'm not worried at all. I know it's a bit odd to say this myself, but our employees are all great people. You can feel at ease working here. Then he showed me to the sales department floor and introduced me to everyone. They welcomed me warmly, and I rekindled my determination to do my best here. After that, I focused on getting used to my new environment for a while. Before I knew it, about 4 months had passed. One day, I went out to lunch with some people from my department. Ethan joined us that day, asking if he could come along. About 10 of us were lining up for Chinese food. That's when we heard a woman scream coming from an alley. What? What do you mean? Aren't you going to marry me? It sounded like a scene from opera. We looked at each other and then quietly peeked down the alley. Ethan was leaning forward the most, by the way. Looking at the woman from behind Ethan, I was shocked. It was Emma from Sanderson Industries. And I was even more shocked by the man she was yelling at. It was Mike, my former co-worker. Huh? What are those two? Ethan picked up on my mutter. Do you know them, Walter? I told Ethan that she used to work at Sanderson Industries and was the woman who told my former CEO that I had leaked information. I also said the man next to her was my former colleague. You said if I did what you told me to, you'd leave your wife and marry me. That's why I lied about Walter. Hearing that, Ethan grabbed my sleeve and pulled me back. What? What was that? What does that mean? Seeing my confusion, the group transformed into amateur detectives. Did you all hear that? Based on what that woman said, it sounds like your colleague told her he'd divorce his wife and be with her, and got her to lie. In response, Jessica, one of our female employees, made a face of utter disgust. What a horrible man. This is why men are. I mean, he has a wife, but he's going after another woman. What is wrong with him? Emma must have been tricked by Mike. If I remember right, Mike's wife is the daughter of a director at one of our clients. There's no way he could get a divorce. I felt sorry for Emma. At my words, everyone there openly expressed their disgust and peeked down the alley at the two again. Emma looked haggard and had lost weight compared to before. Mike didn't look particularly different, but he was coldly brushing her off without hiding his annoyed expression. I just said that if he was gone, I could become a manager and be in charge of your company's account, so we might be able to meet for work. How did you interpret that as me saying I'd divorce my wife and be with you? Hey, are you crazy? Seeing Emma cover her face and start crying at those words, I couldn't take it anymore and was about to rush out. The one who stopped me was Kevin from sales. He's like an older brother to me, 2 years my senior, and we get along well. I had told everyone in Thompson Construction's sales department about how I ended up at the company, and they were all angry on my behalf. Just having everyone believe me made me so happy, I almost teared up a bit. Wait a second. Don't tell me you're planning to run out there. Walter, that woman lied about you and got you fired. We believed you would never do something like that, and based on what we just saw, we were right. But can you forgive her? Kevin's face was grim. If you ask me whether I can forgive her or not, of course I felt frustrated and didn't want to forgive her. But I thought I understood what kind of person Emma was, and based on what I just saw, she probably had her own circumstances. From my perspective, Mike seemed like the root of all evil. I calmly told Kevin what I was thinking. Honestly, it was incredibly painful. But I think Emma might be a victim of Mike's too. And thanks to the chairman, I was able to find an amazing new workplace in just one day. Everyone here is kind and believes in me, which makes me so happy. So to be honest, I'm at the point where I think maybe it was for the best. When I said that with a smile, Kevin and the others looked like they might cry. Ethan stared at me intently and then grinned. Man, I want to hurry up and have my dad's eye for people. Go ahead. Ethan patted me on the back and sent me off. With everyone's encouragement behind me, I walked towards the two in the alley. Emma, Mike. When I called out, the two turned towards me in surprise. Walter. What are you doing here? I didn't answer that and instead spoke to Emma. Long time no see, Emma. You don't seem to be doing very well. Walter, about what you just heard. Emma's face turned pale and she started apologizing deeply on the spot. I'm so sorry. I'm truly sorry. Seeing Emma like that, she looked utterly worn out. Looking at her like that, my heart ached. I rushed over to Emma. Emma, from what I just heard, it's clear that Mike took advantage of you. You're both a perpetrator and a victim. At my words, Emma remained crouched down, sobbing. I turned to face Mike. What were you thinking? You wanted to become a manager, so I was in your way, and you made Emma say I leaked information. Even at my words, Mike just grinned insolently. Well, I might have said something like that, but I didn't tell her to do it, you know. She did it on her own. You got caught up with a strange woman too. You and I are both victims. What is he talking about? Weren't you listening to what she just said? The victims are her and me. You're the perpetrator, Mike. How can you say that after playing with Emma's feelings? It's their fault for taking a fling seriously. It would have been fine if we could have just had fun without any strings attached. I'm genuinely shocked at what a scumbag he is. I'm so furious, I can find my next words. Mike mocks me as I stand there. Well, that's how it is. In the end, you believed her story without really investigating, right? That just shows how little they thought of you. I bet the CEO and the chief are laughing. Mike burst out laughing. The one who interrupted him was Ethan. You're absolutely right. If they had listened carefully to his story, they would have realized he was innocent. What a waste to let go of such a great employee. But it was lucky for us. Thanks to you letting him go, our company got to meet such a wonderful person. Who are you? Mike was flustered by Ethan's sudden appearance. Ethan, on the other hand, had a relaxed smile. I apologize for not introducing myself sooner. I'm Ethan, the CEO of Thompson Construction. What? Thompson Construction. The major construction company. Yes, we are quite large. We're very fortunate. I'll spare you the details, but he's been a great help to us. By the way, from what I overheard, it seems you've done a lot of underhanded things. I'm glad we don't have an employee like you at our company. Ethan delivered a powerful line with a refreshing smile, leaving Mike speechless. That goes for you too, Emma. What you did would normally be unforgivable. You're lucky that Walter is such a big-hearted man. If there's any silver lining in all this, I think that's it. At those words, Emma lifted her face and looked at me intently and apologized again. I'll make sure to report what happened today. I'm truly sorry. At Emma's words, Mike panicked. What are you saying? Don't say anything weird. Cut it out. As an agitated Mike tried to approach Emma, I stepped in to stop him. You're the one who needs to cut it out. You need to seriously reflect on what you've done. Well, I think it's obvious what decision any upstanding business owner would make. You might want to prepare for some serious compensation, don't you think? At Ethan's words, Mike slid down and sat on the ground, starting to cry. Did he really not understand what the consequences of his actions would be? It's pathetic for an adult. I just silently watched his pathetic figure. Afterwards, as promised, Emma confessed the truth to Anderson Industries and Mori Industries. I got a call from Bob and Martin saying they wanted to meet and apologize, but I declined. I'm part of Thompson Construction now, and I'm happy with my life. A phone apology was more than enough. When I said that, Bob was crying on the other end of the line. I'm truly sorry. I accepted the apologies from Bob and Martin. When I heard their report afterwards, it seems Mike had done a lot of other things too and was fired. His wife also found out about his cheating and divorced him, and apparently he was kicked out of the house. Well, it's a fitting end for Mike and I felt satisfied. Emma is working hard on job hunting for a new start. I was really happy to hear from her that she's going to do her best once more. With Mike's fitting end, I truly felt the incident had finally come to a close. When I reported this to Henry and Ethan, they both congratulated me with matching wonderful smiles. Everyone in my department was genuinely happy for me too, and apparently Henry is treating everyone to celebrate tonight. I'm so glad to have people who are happy for me as if it was their own good fortune. I want to continue facing people with sincerity, and if possible, I hope everyone can live sincerely too. That's a little request from a man who experienced firsthand that when God closes a door, somewhere he opens another.